Hey there, survivors. Thanks for tuning in. If you're new here, please consider subscribing and leaving a comment. And if you'd like to support the release of new stories, consider following me on Patreon. More supporters means more new videos. Now, let's get started. The first order of the day is a turkey melt with extra pickles for a woman from the insurance tower across the street. She pays with her phone, taps the screen twice, and keeps one earbud in while her eyes stay on the news banner crawling across the display above my register. I do not read it right away. The flat top is too hot, the lunch rush is already stacked 3 people deep, and the old exhaust fan over my head has started that uneven metal rattle again. I slide the sandwich into a paper tray, pass it through the serving window, and tell her the pickles are under the fries. She nods without looking up, her phone chirps, then every other phone in the line chirps within a few seconds. The food truck is parked at the curb on Benton and 3rd, tucked between a loading zone and the mouth of an alley behind the Haverley Trust building. I pay too much for that spot because office workers come down in waves and because the city inspector never bothers me there unless a delivery van complains. The truck is older than most of the people ordering from it. It used to sell tacos at county fairs before I bought it with bad brakes, a dented bumper, and a walk-in smell of old fryer oil that never leaves the walls. I rebuilt the service counter, patched the metal shutters, added a second lock to the rear door, and mounted a small generator on the back with a chain that cost nearly a full weekly food order. That truck is my job, my kitchen, my debt, and the reason I am still answering messages from a lender who calls me sir before threatening late fees. At 11:40 in the morning, people are still pretending the alert means nothing. A man in a grey suit asks if I have grilled onions. A woman behind him tells him to hurry because her building is being placed on restricted access. He asks again about the onions. I scrape a burnt line from the flat top and tell him I have onions, but he needs to decide. The alert tone repeats outside. Office doors open along the block. Security guards step out under polished awnings. A city bus stops at the light and stays there with its hazard lights blinking. The driver leans out of his side window and tries to see past the line of taxis bunched near the intersection. The traffic signal turns green. Nobody moves. My phone sits in a cracked plastic holder above the register. It buzzes hard enough to rotate sideways. I wipe my fingers on a towel and tap the screen. The emergency message says a public health incident has been reported in the downtown core. Avoid unnecessary travel. Shelter indoors. Follow police and medical instructions. The wording is dull and careful. The street does not react to dull and careful. People read it, frown, and go back to whatever matter is closest to them. The guy with the grilled onions asks for a bottled water too. I hand it over and charge him because habit moves faster than judgment. Behind him, a young woman in a blue office badge says the pharmacy down the block has locked its doors. A delivery cyclist cuts between stopped cars and clips a side mirror. The mirror folds in with a hard snap. The cyclist swears, keeps going, and glances over his shoulder. A second later, a man runs from the far sidewalk into the crosswalk against the light. He wears a white dress shirt with one sleeve torn at the cuff. He does not check traffic. A black sedan brakes and stops a few feet short of him. The man reaches the middle of the crosswalk, stumbles, catches himself on the hood of a taxi, and drops to one knee. People shout from the curb. One person starts filming. Another person steps into the street to help. I turn off the burner under the onions because the pans is starting to smoke. The man in the crosswalk tries to stand and fails. His head turns in small, uneven movements. A woman from the bus stop hurries toward him with both hands out. She says something I cannot hear through the truck fan and traffic. He grabs her wrist with both hands. She pulls back once, then again. The movement turns rough. A bike courier jumps off his bike and tries to separate them. More people leave the curb. The line at my window thins without anybody officially leaving it. A man in a finance vest keeps his place and watches over his shoulder. He asks if his card went through. I look at the payment screen. It has frozen on processing. The small internet box on the shelf has a red light, then a green one, then red again. I tell him the payment did not finish. He waves his phone and says the network is overloaded. He offers a 20. I take it, open the cash drawer, and see more loose bills than I have carried in months, because the morning had been good. For a second that matters to me. Rent matters, inventory matters, the truck payment matters. Then the woman in the crosswalk screams in a way that makes the line go silent. The man on the ground has her arm between his hands and his mouth pressed to her skin. The courier hits him with a metal water bottle. The man does not let go. The finance vest guy backs away from my window. A cup of lemonade tips off the counter and bursts on the sidewalk. The city bus doors fold open. and passengers push out even though the bus has not reached the stop. The driver is yelling for them to stay back. I cannot make out every word, but I hear "sick and wait" and "do not touch him." The woman in the crosswalk breaks free and falls against the taxi. Her blouse sleeve is ripped. The courier drags her by the shoulders toward the curb. The man who bit her stands. His tie hangs loose. He turns toward the noise instead of the woman. That is the first thing I notice that does not fit a normal street fight. He goes toward the crowd, yelling the loudest. A police car is stuck 2 blocks away with its lights running but no siren. A fire engine turns onto 3rd and stops behind a delivery truck. The crew cannot get through. More alerts hit phones. A couple from the line presses against the side of my truck to avoid people backing off the curb. I reach for the metal shutter handle above the serving window, then stop because a woman is still there with a paper tray in her hand. She is maybe 22, red badge clipped to her cardigan, cheap heels with 1 scuffed toe. She asks me for water, not a bottle to buy. Water. Her voice is flat, and her eyes keep returning to the crosswalk. I grab 2 bottles from the lower cooler and pass them through. She takes one and drops the other. The bottle rolls under the truck. A man pounds on the side panel near the propane cabinet and yells that his co-worker is hurt. 2 office workers drag another man out of the Haverly lobby. His left pant leg is dark from knee to ankle. He tries to walk and cannot. The lobby behind him is full of people pressed against the glass, and the security desk inside has been shoved sideways. The building still has power. The revolving door still turns. A woman with a headset stands behind the glass and waves people away from the entrance. Then someone inside strikes the glass with a chair, and every person outside takes 3 steps backward. I should close the window then. I have the handle in my hand. I have the sense to know a service opening is not a wall. It is thin, wide, and built for trust. Instead, I keep it open because people are asking for water, and because the old routine in my hands is stronger than the new thing happening on the street. I pass out 4 bottles without charging. I give the young woman in the cardigan a stack of napkins for the injured man. She says her name is Brielle and tells me she is an intern on the 14th floor. She is not asking to come inside yet. She is still expecting a building manager to step outside with instructions. The injured man reaches my curb with the help of a broad-shouldered woman in a black blouse and a parking attendant from the garage behind the alley. The attendant wears a yellow vest and carries a ring of keys on a steel clip. The woman tells me the injured man is named Theo. He works in payroll. He cut his leg on lobby glass when everybody pushed. She says it fast, with no room for me to refuse. She asks if I have clean towels. I have clean enough towels and a small first aid kit mounted by the sink because the health department wants to see one. I hand both through the window. Theo sits on the curb with 1 leg straight and 1 hand gripping the wheel well of my truck. The bitten woman from the crosswalk is now beside the bus shelter. The courier is gone. 2 people try to keep her seated. She keeps pushing upward. Her mouth moves, but I hear no words. The man who bit her is in the crowd near the pharmacy, and I lose sight of him behind a mail truck. I see movement around him, fast and confused, people shoving away from the same spot. Then the pharmacy window shows a white impact mark from inside. The line of office workers waiting for food becomes a loose crowd seeking any object that offers cover. My truck offers heat, light, food, water, counter, and a person who has not shut the window. That person is me. A hand slaps cash onto the serving ledge. A man I served twice a week leans close and tells me he will pay $200 to get inside. He has a leather laptop bag and a gold watch. His name might be Leonard. I never kept it straight. Behind him, another man says his wife is pregnant and needs to sit down. I look past both of them. The woman who helped Theo is wrapping his leg with a towel and doing it wrong but firmly. The parking attendant has moved to the alley mouth and is watching the garage entrance. Brielle stands near the front tire with 2 bottles tucked under 1 arm. She looks too young for all of this and too steady for her age. The banging starts at the Haverly lobby doors, not from outside, from inside. The headset woman disappears from view. Office workers on the sidewalk scatter away from the glass. A man in shirt sleeves slips on the wet lemonade and falls. Another man steps over him and keeps running. The person with the laptop bag climbs onto the service step of my truck and grabs the edge of the open window with both hands. He says he is coming in. I tell him no. He says I have room. He says he has money. His shoe skids against the step. I reach above him, pull the metal shutter down hard, and catch his fingers between the shutter edge and the sill. He yells and drops back. I lock the latch before I let myself think about it. The truck changes at that second. The counter where I usually lean and smile becomes a closed piece of metal with people on the wrong side. Hands hit it. Someone kicks the lower panel. The truck rocks on its old springs. I turn the burner knobs off one by one, then shut the gas valve under the flat top. The fryer is still hot. The refrigerator hums. The generator on the rear rack keeps chugging, feeding the cooler, lights, register, and exhaust fan. I can smell grilled onions, fryer oil, toasted bread, and propane residue from a connection I know I should have replaced. Outside, the crowd can smell food too. The rear door has a small window with wire mesh inside the glass. I look through it and see Brielle, Theo, the woman in the black blouse, and the parking attendant pressed against the back corner of the truck. The laptop bag man is gone. Other people are at the service side. A woman knocks on the rear door with her knuckles, controlled and deliberate. The woman in black points to Theo. The glass in the Haverly lobby breaks behind them. Not a full collapse. A section near the door gives way and scatters across the sidewalk. People inside pour out around the broken edge. One man exits on his hands and knees. Another person follows him with stiff forward movement and grabs at his jacket. I unlock the rear door because I decide too late, and because deciding too late is still deciding. I pull it inward. The parking attendant shoves Theo up the step first. Brielle climbs in with the water bottles and almost knocks over the trash bin. The woman in black comes in behind her. The attendant gets one foot on the step, turns, and sees a man in a torn shirt coming toward the alley mouth. He slams his shoulder into the door from outside to help me close it. The door catches on the rubber floor mat. I yank the mat back with my heel. The attendant falls in sideways, and I throw the deadbolt. A palm hits the outer side a moment later, then another. Not a crowd yet. Enough to end the idea that we are separate from the street. Nobody speaks for a few seconds. The truck is too small for silence. Brielle stands between the sink and the prep fridge, with both hands locked around the water bottles. Theo is on the floor near the rear step, teeth clenched, towel around his calf already turning darker. The woman in black kneels beside him and tells him not to touch the bandage. The parking attendant sits with his back against the soda crate, yellow vest twisted under one arm. He has grey stubble, a cut over one eyebrow, and the keys still clipped to his belt. I know him from the garage booth. His name is Gordon. He used to wave me through when I arrived before dawn. The woman in black looks up and says, "Ruth, facilities manager. He needs pressure on that leg." She does not ask who owns the truck. She does not ask if this is safe. She looks at the layout and starts assigning facts. Water tank under the sink, small restroom nowhere, propane outside left cabinet, generator rear, front cab through the sliding pass-through behind the driver seat. She sees the same weaknesses I do because her job has trained her to see exits, locks, and maintenance failures. Brielle says the building sent a message about a chemical exposure on the 8th floor. Gordon says the garage radio called it a violent patient from the clinic on 2nd. Theo says nothing. He keeps one hand on the floor drain. The generator hum outside becomes the loudest steady sound in my world. It is mounted on a rack behind the truck, boxed in with steel mesh and a chain, but it is not quiet. I bought the cheap one because the quiet one was out of reach. It vibrates through the rear wall and pushes a faint exhaust smell through a bad seal near the floor. Outside, palms slap the shutter. Voices gather around the truck. Some are scared, some are angry. One man keeps saying open up, another offers cash. Somebody asks if I have a charger. A woman cries that her son is in the garage. In the front windshield, beyond the cab, I see traffic locked across the intersection, and a city bus angled over the lane, with one front tire up on the curb. Ruth takes the first aid kit, dumps it onto the stainless prep counter, and finds gauze that looks too small for Theo's leg. I tell her there are clean aprons in the upper shelf. She grabs one and tears it down the middle. Brielle asks if she can call emergency services from inside, because the signal near the window might be better. Her phone shows 1 bar, mine shows none. The truck payment app is still frozen on the last transaction, which suddenly seems obscene. I turn the register screen off. Then I turn off the menu light because the bright photos of sandwiches in the side window are drawing eyes. The truck gets dimmer. The refrigerator keeps humming. The generator keeps announcing we have power. Gordon stands and checks the rear window. They are moving towards sound, he says. He does not say infected. He does not say zombies. He says sound because that is what he can prove from where he is standing. The person at the rear corner stops hitting the door when a crash happens near the bus. More people outside turn toward that crash. The stiff-moving man from the lobby follows them. So do 2 others from the pharmacy side. The ones who are hurt or sick do not walk right. Each step lands with no concern for balance until an obstacle changes direction for them. Noise pulls them. Hands and movement hold them. I reach for the generator switch clipped to a cord inside the rear wall. Then stop because the refrigerator is full of food. That cost me everything I had left for the week. That delay costs us. The food smell reaches farther than I want to admit. The exhaust fan has been pushing grilled meat and onions through the roof vent for hours. People outside who ran from the crosswalk now come back toward the truck because it is familiar and because it has food. A man bangs on the shutter with a ringed fist and yells that his blood sugar is low. Another person says there are children in the bank lobby. Somebody tries the propane cabinet and rattles the latch. That cabinet is outside, under the serving window, with a vented metal door and a padlock that is older than the truck. The tank inside is 3/4 full because I changed it that morning. The thought of someone opening it with panic in both hands makes me move. I hit the generator cutoff. The truck drops into a low battery glow. The exhaust fan dies first, the refrigerator stops. The hum outside cuts away and the street rushes into the gap. Sirens 2 blocks over, car horns locked under palms, people yelling from windows, shoes on glass. The old food smell stays in the truck and on the block because shutting down the fan cannot erase the last 2 hours. Heat gathers around the flat top even though the burners are off. Theo asks for water. Ruth tells him 1 sip. Brielle hands her a bottle, then looks at the cases stacked beside the service counter. I have 8 full cases left and 1 opened case. That seems plenty until I count mouths, heat, injuries, and the street outside. Gordon says the garage has an exit to the alley behind the bank if the gate is not down. Ruth says the Haverly loading bay connects to the garage only through a badge door. Brielle says her badge might work. Ruth says building access may have been locked after the alert. They argue in clipped sentences while I climb into the front cab through the narrow pass-through. My knees hit the cooler. A stack of paper boats falls. The cab smells of old coffee and sun-baked vinyl. The windshield is broad enough to see danger and dirty enough to hide detail. The truck's mirrors are small. The rear camera died last winter. I kept delaying the repair because sandwiches do not need a rear camera. Now I need one. I turn the key halfway. The dashboard lights wake up. Fuel shows a little under half a tank. The engine is cold enough to argue when I start it, then catches with a rough idle. The brake warning light glows. It always glows. The front brakes were supposed to be fixed next week after I paid the produce supplier. Ruth hears the engine and snaps her head toward the cab. Can this thing move? I tell her yes, if nobody asks it to stop fast. Gordon says the alley behind us is narrow but clear to the loading docks. I look through the windshield. Forward is impossible. Cars block the lane. People crowd the service side. The rear is the only direction that is not fully blocked, and I cannot see most of it. Something climbs onto the service step outside. The shutter bows inward once. Not much. Enough. Brielle backs away from it and bumps the sink. The latch holds, but the metal frame was never meant for people using it for entry. The truck had been built to open wide and take money from strangers. I lock the small sliding pass-through to the cab from my side, then unlock it again because I am ashamed of the instinct. Ruth notices but does not comment. Gordon moves to the rear door window and gives me directions through the cab opening. He says left side clear, right side 1 person near the bumper, another on the ground by the trash bins. He keeps his voice flat. That helps more than encouragement. I shift into reverse. The truck jerks before it rolls. A hand slaps the front passenger window from outside and leaves a smeared print. A man in a blue shirt appears beside the cab, shouting that I cannot leave him. He grabs the mirror bracket. I keep my foot on the brake and yell through the closed window for him to let go. He pulls harder. The mirror shifts with a metal groan. Behind him, 2 sick people move from the bus shelter toward the shouting. One has a dark mark across the front of his shirt. The man at my window sees them, releases the bracket, and runs toward the bank doors. I ease off the brake. The truck rolls backward into the alley mouth. The brakes squeal. The old frame pops once under the weight shift. Gordon calls distance from the rear window. 10 feet, 6 feet. Stop. I press the brake and the pedal sinks farther than I want. The truck stops with a hard shudder. Something thumps against the rear rack where the generator sits. The engine idles too loud. The power steering whines when I turn the wheel. Outside the windshield, people at the service side follow the truck, not all of them sick. Some are ordinary scared people who see a moving shelter with food. That fact is worse than the infected in that moment because ordinary scared people can think, climb, beg, lie, and decide I owe them space. Ruth shouts that the propane cabinet is still on the street side. I know. The cabinet is locked, but the hose runs through a guarded hole in the wall to the cook line. If a person tears it loose or if the truck scrapes wrong against a post, the leak can turn the whole kitchen into a trap. I put the truck in park, set the parking brake, and climb back into the kitchen. The floor is slick where the lemonade cup rolled under the mat, after someone kicked it through the open rear door. My shoe slides. Ruth catches the back of my shirt and pushes me forward. Gordon says the alley is closing from the street. Brielle kneels beside Theo and keeps one hand on the towel around his leg. I grab the fire extinguisher from the bracket beside the fryer and check the gauge. Green, good. I grab the long wrench I use on the griddle legs. Ruth takes a second extinguisher from under the sink, the smaller one for grease fire inspection. We open the service side access panel from inside. A gust of street air pushes in, heavy with smoke from somewhere near the bus, and the sour smell of spilled trash from the alley. The propane line runs through the wall to a shut-off valve I can reach if I lie half under the counter. I turn it until it stops. Then I close the inner valve at the cook line. My hands come away greasy. Outside, someone yanks at the cabinet again. Do not open that. Ruth calls through the metal. No answer. The cabinet bangs once. Gordon says a man has a crowbar. He says not sick, not moving wrong, grey hoodie, crowbar. I slide the service shutter up 4 inches before Ruth can stop me. A hand comes in flat, reaching for the counter. I bring the extinguisher nozzle up and discharge a hard white burst through the gap. The person outside coughs and stumbles back. I hit the latch and drop the shutter. The cloud rolls back into the truck in thin white sheets. Brielle turns Theo's face away from it. I do not use more. The extinguisher is not a weapon for long. It is a tool I may need if propane or grease goes bad. The pause from that burst gives us maybe 30 seconds. I get to the front cab and shift into reverse again. Gordon braces his shoulder against the rear wall and talks me back. The alley narrows between brick on one side and steel loading doors on the other. My right mirror is bent inward from the man who grabbed it, so I lean over the wheel to use it. The truck's side scrapes a stack of empty bakery crates. Plastic cracks and folds under the tire. Someone runs behind us and hits the rear door with both palms. Gordon tells me not to stop. I do not stop. The thumping falls away. The alley bends left behind the bank. The bend is tight. Too tight for a box truck, barely enough for mine. I take it at walking speed, with the steering wheel turned until the power steering pump complains. The left side brushes brick, metal shrieks along the wall. A shelf inside the kitchen dumps sauce cups across the floor. Theo swears for the first time when a crate slides into his injured leg. Ruth pins the crate with her foot. Brielle grabs the upper shelf to stay upright and drops one of the water bottles. It rolls under the prep fridge and keeps knocking while the truck moves. I correct too late and clip a steel bollard with the rear step. The whole truck jumps. The brake pedal goes soft for half a second, then catches. We enter the bank loading lane. It is wider, darker, and full of parked delivery vans. One van has its rear doors open with bread trays still stacked inside. The driver is gone. A security guard from the bank stands near a keypad door holding a baton in both hands. He sees my truck and waves us away. Behind him, the door opens from inside and a group of people pushes through. He turns to stop them. The group hits him by accident or on purpose. He falls against the wall. 2 people step over him. One woman from that group sees the food truck and starts toward us with both arms raised. Her face is normal, frightened, pleading. Behind her, a man moves with the stiff forward drive I have already learned to recognize. I do not open the door. That decision lands inside the truck without a speech. Brielle sees the woman outside and says we have room if Theo moves. Ruth says no. Gordon says no at the same time. The woman reaches the driver's side and pounds on the cab door. She says the bank lobby is not safe. She says please. The stiff-moving man catches another person near the loading dock, and everyone outside turns into a moving knot. The woman at my door looks back once and runs between 2 vans. I tell myself she has options because I need the truck to keep moving. It is a weak lie, and nobody in the truck helps me hold it. The loading lane exits into a side street behind the office district. It should be clear because it is mostly dumpsters, garage ramps, and employee entrances. It is not clear. Cars have tried to use it to bypass 3rd, and now they are packed at both ends. A rideshare car sits crosswise with the passenger door open. A man in a kitchen apron from a restaurant down the block is beating on a locked delivery entrance with a milk crate. 2 sick people move toward the sound. They do not run, they do not plan. They continue until something else gets closer or louder. I nose the truck between a dumpster and the rideshare car. The gap is tight enough that the passenger mirror folds flat against the cab. The truck cannot ram through the street. It can squeeze. That is the only reason we are still moving. I take it slow, inch by inch, while Gordon watches the right side and Ruth watches the left through the small service window. Brielle holds Theo's shoulders and tells him to keep pressure on the bandage. Theo keeps asking if his wife has answered. Ruth tells him no signal. He asks again a minute later. No one gets mad at him. Pain gives him a smaller world. I understand that. Mine has shrunk to steering angle, brake pressure, fuel needle, water count, and the noise of hands hitting metal when we pass too close to people. We reach the end of the side street and stop behind a city sanitation truck, blocking half the lane. Its driver's side door is open. The engine is still running. The hydraulic lift is raised with a dumpster hanging crooked in the forks. I cannot get under it. I cannot move it. The brakes hiss when I hold the pedal. Ahead, downtown opens into a long view of stalled cars, smoke near the bus route, and people moving in every direction without a single shared plan. A helicopter crosses far above the buildings. It does not slow. Sirens overlap until no one siren stands out. The city is still powered, still full of traffic lights and elevators and automatic doors, and still losing control one entrance at a time. Ruth points to a parking garage ramp to our right. Gordon recognizes it. It belongs to the old market building, 6 levels, narrow turns, roof access, exit on Carter Street. He says the ticket arm can be broken if we hit the base. I do not want to go into a garage. Garage trap sound, garage trap exhaust. Garage have blind corners, stairwells, and people who think a vehicle should save them. But the street ahead has no path, and the alley behind is filling. I turn toward the ramp. A man in scrubs runs down it before we reach the entrance. He slaps the hood and points back uphill. He says the upper levels are locked. Gordon says he is lying because garage levels do not lock that way. Ruth says he may mean blocked. The man tries the passenger door. It is locked. The sick person behind him is wearing a bank security jacket. The guard's face is slack and his hands reach forward every time the man in scrubs makes sound. I tap the horn once before I think. The horn is short and ugly. The sick guard changes direction toward the cab. 3 more heads turn near the sanitation truck. Ruth yells from the kitchen. No horn, she is right. I hate that she is right. The man in scrubs bolts down the sidewalk and leaves the guard at my bumper. I hit the ticket arm at low speed. It cracks at the base and swings down across the windshield instead of away. Plastic scrapes across the glass. Brielle makes a sharp noise from the back. I keep driving until the arm drops off the hood. The garage ramp curves up. Fluorescent lights buzz overhead. Half the spaces on the first level are full. People have abandoned cars crooked across painted lines. A sport utility vehicle blocks the center lane with its rear hatch open, and bags spilled across the concrete. I steer around it and feel the truck lean more than I want. Food trucks are top-heavy when water tanks, refrigerators, and shelves are full. Mine is worse because I never rebuilt the suspension after adding the second cooler. The engine temperature rises a little on the climb, not dangerous yet. Enough to put another number in my head. Fuel under half, water limited, propane shut, battery draining, refrigerator off, injured man on the floor, no toilet, no safe airflow if we sit too long with the engine running. The ramp to the 4th level is partly blocked by a delivery van wedged against a concrete column. I have inches on the left if Ruth folds the service side mirror all the way in from inside. She tries, but the hinge is stiff. Gordon reaches past her and forces it. The mirror cracks. I edge forward until the truck's right side kisses the concrete wall. Paint flakes off. The refrigerator door inside swings open because the latch was weak. Bottles and sauce tubs roll across the floor. Brielle curses under her breath and kicks the door shut while keeping one hand on Theo. We clear the van, but the truck leaves a strip of green paint on the column. I do not care about the paint. I care about the brake smell starting to build under the cab. At the 4th level, the garage opens to a pedestrian bridge over a narrow lane. The bridge connects to the old market building, which has small restaurants on the ground floor and vacant offices above. The market still has power. Interior lights glow behind dusty windows. A sign near the bridge says roof garden access for tenants only. Ruth says roofs mean distance from the street. Gordon says roof also means no way out if stairwells fill. Brielle asks if we can use the truck on the roof. I tell her the roof deck may not hold the weight. The truck is heavy with water, equipment, and full shelves. No one argues because the concrete around us already has cracks and old patch lines. Theo's bandage is not enough. Ruth checks it and presses another apron against his calf. He is pale now, sweating through his shirt and angry at everyone for seeing it. He says he can walk if needed. Gordon says maybe 10 steps. Theo tells him to shut up. Brielle asks Ruth if the cut is from glass only. Ruth looks at me before answering. Only glass, she says, no bite. She says it because everybody in the truck has started making that calculation. Bite means something else now, even though nobody knows the rules. Glass can be treated. A bite from one of the sick people carries fear nobody wants to name. We stop on the 4th level because the ramp to the 5th is blocked by 2 cars nose to nose. One is empty. The other has a man locked inside, hitting the window with his elbow. His movements are wrong, not panicked, repetitive. The window has a wide crack and a smear where his face touched it. A woman stands 20 feet away with car keys in her hand. She is crying without sound. Gordon says we cannot move those cars. Ruth says the pedestrian bridge is our next option. I shut the engine off. The sudden quiet brings every small sound forward. Theo's shoe scraping the floor, Brielle twisting a bottle cap, distant alarms, the ticking heat from the engine, something dragging in the stairwell below. The truck is hot without the fan. The fryer oil still holds heat. The roof vent does nothing because there is no power. We open the small ceiling hatch an inch, then close it when noise from below gets clearer. I check supplies because numbers are calmer than guesses. Water tank maybe 15 gallons. Not drinking clean unless boiled or filtered, because the tank has not been cleaned well enough. Bottled water 8 cases and some loose bottles. Food enough for a lunch rush, not a household. Bread, tortillas, cooked chicken, raw patty sealed in the cooler, sliced cheese, onions, fries, sauces, lettuce already wilting, breakfast sausages, eggs and 5 gallons of cooking oil. Propane outside shut off but full. Generator has fuel for maybe 6 hours if I do not run everything. Truck fuel under half. Battery good if we do not keep lights on. Trash bin half full. No bathroom, no beds, no privacy, no medical supplies beyond scraps. I say it plainly because nobody needs a false plan. This truck can keep us off the street for a little while. It cannot be a house. Brielle nods first. Ruth keeps pressure on Theo's leg. Gordon checks his key ring and says the market loading doors may have manual locks. He also says the garage office on the first level has a restroom and a security panel, but going back down is worse than crossing the bridge. Theo asks if the bridge door locks from this side. Nobody knows. I take the tire iron from behind the driver's seat, then switch it for the heavy griddle scraper because it is shorter and easier in the aisle. Ruth gives Brielle the small extinguisher. Gordon keeps a pry bar from his belt pouch, a tool I have seen him use on jammed parking gates. We open the rear door carefully. The garage air is cooler and smells of exhaust, dust and hot brakes. The lighting flickers once, then steadies. No one is close. The man in the cracked window car keeps striking the glass with the same rhythm. I step down first because it is my truck, and because Gordon is older and Theo cannot. That reason sounds noble for half a second, but the practical truth is that I know the step, the latch, and the blind spot. Ruth and Brielle help Theo stand. He cannot put full weight on the injured leg. He takes one step and almost folds. Ruth gets under his shoulder. Gordon gets the other side. The 4 of them move toward the bridge at a pace that makes every foot of distance feel expensive. A stairwell door opens on the lower side of the level. The sound is a metal push bar clacking against a frame. 2 people come out first, both normal, both moving fast. A third person comes behind them, not normal. The first 2 run toward us because the bridge looks safe. Gordon yells for them to use the other exit. One man keeps coming. The woman with him grabs his sleeve, but he shakes her off. He sees the truck, then Theo. Then the rear door still open. He changes direction toward the truck. I move back and slam the door before he reaches it. He bangs on the rear panel and yells that I cannot lock up food during an emergency. The sick person from the stairwell catches the woman who stayed back. Her scream pulls more sound from below. The man at my truck stops yelling when he sees what is happening behind him. He runs to the bridge after us. I do not stop him. I cannot carry Theo and fight over the bridge at the same time. We reach the bridge door. It has a badge reader and a push handle. Brielle tries her office badge, red light. Ruth tries her facilities badge, red light. Gordon studies the frame and says the reader may be active but locked to market tenants. The man from the garage arrives and shoves between us. He pounds the push handle. The door does not open. He turns on Ruth and says she has keys. Ruth says wrong building. He reaches for Gordon's key ring. Gordon clips his wrist with the pry bar, not hard enough to injure badly, hard enough to stop him. Back up, Gordon says. The sick person from the stairwell moves toward the sound of the argument. Another one appears behind him. Slow, direct, hands forward. The woman on the floor has stopped screaming. The man who tried to take the keys looks at them, then at us, and decides the truck is better. He runs back. He gets 3 steps before the cracked window car finally gives way. Glass drops inward. The man inside pulls himself halfway through the broken window, with no care for the cuts along his arms. That blocks the path back to the truck. The key-grabbing man freezes. I hit the bridge door reader with the griddle scraper because anger needs a job. Plastic cracks. Nothing opens. Ruth drops Theo's arm long enough to reach into her blouse pocket and pull out a badge I have not seen. It is not her main badge. It is plain white, cracked at one corner, with old tape over the name. She says it belonged to a contractor who serviced market boilers. She presses it to the reader. Red light. She wipes it on her sleeve and tries again. Green. The lock clicks. We push through into the pedestrian bridge. Gordon pulls the door behind us. It closes heavy, with a latch that catches. The man from the garage hits it from the other side with both fists. He curses us until the sick people reach the bridge door. Then his words turn into a struggle, and Ruth pulls Theo forward without looking back. The bridge is enclosed with glass panels on both sides and a dirty carpet runner down the middle. Below us, the narrow lane is jammed with cars, delivery scooters, and people cutting between bumpers. A man stands on the roof of a taxi and points toward the river. Another person climbs out of a second-floor window using a bedsheet that tears before he reaches the awning. The market building ahead has lights but no visible staff. Brielle asks if we should barricade the bridge. Ruth says after we get inside. The bridge door behind us rattles again. The sick people do not understand handles, but their bodies hitting the door still matter. Hinges and locks fail when enough weight repeats long enough. The market door opens into a second-floor hallway lined with closed offices. Half the lights work. A vending machine hums near the elevator. The elevator display says third floor, then second, then first. Somebody is using it, or it is cycling on its own. Ruth tells everyone away from the elevator. Gordon finds a floor directory, second floor offices, ground floor food court, basement storage, roof garden above fourth, mechanical room at the end, no clinic, no security station on this level. Theo needs to sit, but the hallway is exposed. I hear voices from the stairwell at the far end, normal voices, several people arguing about whether to go down for cars. We move into an empty office with frosted glass and a conference table. I say I am going back for some of it. Ruth says no before I finish. Gordon says maybe. Brielle says we cannot leave it because the food smell and the truck will pull people away from the bridge if we use it right. That is the first useful thing she says that is not panic management. She points through the blinds toward the bridge. If people see the truck move, they follow it. The sick ones follow sound, the others follow food. We can use that. Ruth looks at her with a hard expression, then at me. The idea is ugly because it means turning my business into bait. It is also the first idea that fits the facts. The bridge door rattles again, louder. Not one body now, several. The people in the hallway stop arguing. Someone asks what is on the bridge. Nobody answers. I open the office door a few inches. The hallway group sees me and starts asking questions. How many in our group? Do we have food? Is the garage clear? Is anyone bitten? A woman with a rolling suitcase looks at my apron and says, I am the food truck guy. That sentence moves through the hallway faster than I can stop it. Faces turn. I step back into the office and close the door. Ruth says we cannot stay here. The truck has become a label on me. Food, water, power, shelter, access. We make the next plan in under a minute because the building decides for us. The bridge door gives a metallic pop. The hallway group panics and surges toward the stairwell. We cannot move Theo through that crowd. Gordon and I will go back across the bridge only if the door holds long enough, grab water and shelf-stable food from the truck, set the generator to run outside the garage exit, and use the truck horn or engine to pull infected and desperate crowds down the ramp. Ruth hates the horn part, so do I, but a quiet decoy is not a decoy. Brielle says she can help Ruth move Theo toward the mechanical room. Ruth accepts that because there is no better version available. I give Ruth the truck's spare key and immediately regret it because giving away a key feels final. She gives it back. You drive it, she says. It listens to you. That is not true. The truck listens to gravity, bad brakes, fuel and old parts. But I take the key. Gordon and I open the office door. The hallway group is gone except for the woman with the suitcase, who is struggling because one wheel has caught in the carpet. Brielle tells her to leave it. The woman refuses. The bridge door at the far end opens 3 inches, then closes on an arm. The arm pushes through without concern for pain. The woman abandons the suitcase then. Gordon and I run for the bridge because walking wastes the only seconds we have. Running on old carpet with a pry bar in one hand and a scraper in the other is clumsy and loud. The sick bodies at the far bridge door are pressed halfway through. One shoulder, one head, 2 hands. The door has not opened fully because a fallen body blocks the swing. Gordon reaches the door before me and kicks the body back through the gap. I pull the handle from our side and slam the door against the frame. It latches but not cleanly. The lock housing is bent. I look through the glass and see the garage level beyond. My truck sits 20 yards away with the rear door closed. Around it, 3 people circle the service side, and 1 sick person stands at the front bumper, bumping the grill with both hands. The bridge is not safe behind us. The office hallway is not safe ahead. The garage around the truck is worse. I unlock the bridge door to the garage and step out. Gordon stays close. We move low between parked cars, not because it hides us perfectly, but because it keeps the truck between us and the people near the shutter. One of the ordinary people is the man from the charging station. He is trying to pry the service shutter with a tire jack. Another is a teenager in a delivery shirt. The third is a woman holding a cloth over one forearm. I do not know if she is bitten or cut. The sick person at the grill turns toward Gordon's keys when they clink. Gordon presses the ring against his thigh to silence it. We reach the rear door. I unlock it with slow fingers. Inside, the truck is hotter than the garage. The dead refrigerator smell has started already because raw patties and chicken do not forgive power loss. We do not have time to sort much. I grab sealed tortillas, peanut butter packets from a catering job, bottled water, a bag of apples, 2 boxes of protein bars I bought for resale, the first aid scraps, phone battery packs, a flashlight, the cash drawer, and my little lockbox with the truck title because old habits still cling to paper. Gordon takes water cases and canned chili from the lower shelf. The service shutter shrieks outside. The man with the tire jack is getting somewhere. I climb into the cab and start the engine. The sick person at the grill turns toward the sound and strikes the hood with both palms. I put the truck in reverse and tap the gas. The sick person falls, rolls under the front bumper and disappears from view. I stop too hard. The brakes grind. Gordon curses from the kitchen because water cases slide into his ankles. I do not know if the person is under the wheel. I do not want to know. If I sit still, the shutter comes open and the truck fills with people. I ease backward and feel a bump under one tire. I keep moving. The steering wheel pulls left. Maybe the tire, maybe the alignment, maybe the body under it. The truck still rolls. The man at the service shutter jumps away when the truck moves. The delivery teenager drops to the concrete and crawls behind a parked car. The woman with the cloth over her arm begs through the side wall. I cannot see her in the mirror because the mirror is folded and cracked. Gordon yells that she is not clear. I stop with the engine idling. The bridge door behind us rattles again from the office side. More sick people are at the garage stairwell. The woman at the service side pounds once, then twice, then presses her forehead against the metal. I do not open. Gordon opens the rear door instead and throws 2 water bottles toward the parked car beside her. She looks at them, then at us. That is all we give. I drive toward the ramp down. The decoy plan changes because the garage has already changed. We cannot set the generator neatly outside an exit and walk away. The truck itself has to do the pulling. I keep it in first gear and let the engine growl. The sound travels down the concrete ramps. Faces appear below. Sick bodies turn. Ordinary people step into lanes and then jump back when they see the truck coming. Gordon stands behind me in the kitchen, one hand braced on the cab frame, telling me where the rear swings. We pass the charging station group again. The woman with the medical cooler is gone. The man who called me coward is sitting against a wall with one shoe missing. He reaches toward us and then lowers his hand. On the second level, the truck stalls. It does not sputter gently. It cuts hard when I brake at the curve and every dash light comes on. I put it in park, turn the key and get a clicking sound. Battery, starter heat, loose cable? I do not know. The ramp behind us has movement. The ramp below has movement. Gordon says to try again. I wait 2 seconds because sometimes the old starter needs the engine to settle. The second try catches. The engine fires rough and black smoke puffs past the rear. The temperature gauge is higher, not red, higher. I keep the engine running and promise nothing to myself. At the first level, the ramp exit is crowded with people trying to get in and people trying to get out. The broken ticket arm lies on the concrete. Outside, the street is a louder disaster than before. A fire engine sits abandoned half a block down, red lights still flashing against building windows. The sanitation truck still blocks the side street. More cars have been added to the jam, not moved from it. The truck cannot escape downtown by road. That fact becomes plain through the windshield. We can move a few blocks by alleys, maybe. We cannot drive to safety. There is no clean route. There is only time bought in small, ugly pieces. I turn toward the garage office instead of the street. Gordon understands before I say it. The office has a restroom, a metal door, and maybe a back exit. The truck can block the ramp if angled right. It can also pull the sick ones toward itself while Ruth, Brielle, and Theo move through the market. But I need it loud. I need people to see it. I need the food smell and engine noise to become somebody else's problem. That thought has a cost. The truck is my livelihood. It is the last proof that I had a normal plan yesterday. I drive it across the ramp lane, angle the nose toward the street, and leave enough space behind it for a person to squeeze through, but not enough for a crowd to flow. Gordon grabs the supplies. I open the generator cage from inside through the rear service hatch. The generator is bolted outside, but the pull cord and choke can be reached if I stretch. I should not run it inside the garage. Carbon monoxide can build in low air, and I know that. But the ramp is open to the street, and I need noise for minutes, not hours. I start it and plug in the exterior menu lights. The side panels glow with sandwich photos again. The generator rattles against the rear rack. The truck announces food, power, and shelter to everyone within hearing. I hate it. I do it anyway. Then the propane warning becomes immediate. The man with the crowbar from earlier, or someone else with the same idea, has damaged the cabinet latch. The door hangs loose. I smell propane faintly near the service side. Not strong, but present. The outside valve might not be fully seated after the scrape. Ruth would tell me to leave it. Gordon tells me to leave it. I do not, because a leaking propane tank beside a running generator and hot engine can turn a decoy into a blast hazard for anyone nearby, including Ruth and Brielle if they come through the wrong exit. I grab the bigger extinguisher, climb out through the cab, and keep low along the front bumper. The cabinet is on the far side, facing the street. A sick man is near the service step, drawn by the generator. He turns when my shoe scrapes glass. I put the extinguisher between us and discharge a short burst into his face and chest. He keeps moving through the cloud. It slows him only because he loses the direct line to sound. I step sideways, open the propane cabinet, and reach in. The tank valve is partly open. The hose fitting is scraped but not torn. I turn the valve hard until it stops. The sick man bumps the side panel inches from my shoulder. Gordon comes around the front and drives the pry bar into the metal panel beside the man's head, not into him, into the panel. The sound pulls the man toward Gordon. I slam the cabinet shut and snap the damaged latch until it will not move. We retreat through the gap behind the truck. People at the garage entrance see the lights and surge toward the service window. Some are sick, some are not. The shutter is still closed, but the glowing menu tells them there is something worth taking. The generator gives them a target. The engine idles rough. I leave the key in. That hurts more than the scraped paint, more than the lost inventory. Without the key, the engine might shut down and the decoy fails. With the key, someone might drive it. If someone can get it moving with those brakes, that person can have my debt too. Gordon and I slip into the garage office. It is a cramped booth with a desk, a panel of camera screens, a coffee maker, a restroom door, and a back maintenance door with a push bar. The camera screens show pieces of the building in grainy angles. 4th level bridge, 1st level ramp, Carter Street exit, food court service corridor. I see Ruth and Brielle on one screen, moving Theo down a hallway near the mechanical room. Ruth has him under one shoulder. Brielle carries the water and battery packs we left with her. 2 people follow them at a distance, not sick, maybe scared, maybe opportunistic. The service corridor ahead of them looks clear for 20 yards, then turns where the camera cannot see. Gordon grabs the desk radio and tries channels, mostly static. One channel gives a clipped voice from another garage booth saying not to open gates. People are attacking attendants. Police are not answering. Gordon says his name and asks about Carter Street. No answer. The voice repeats that attendants should lock cash drawers and shelter in place. The instruction is already useless for us. I find a restroom and fill 3 empty bottles from the sink after letting the water run for a few seconds. It is city water, still pressurized, still clear. That may change later. For now it is usable. I take toilet paper, soap, and a small trash bag because survival keeps reducing itself to ordinary items. The camera showing the truck fills with bodies. The service side is packed. Hands pull at the shutter. One person climbs onto the hood. The engine keeps running. The generator lights stay on. It is working. That does not feel good. It means desperate people and sick people are gathered around a machine I built to feed lunch crowds. It means the truck is refusing people now because I made it refuse them. I do not have time to dress that up. Gordon points to the food court camera. Ruth, Brielle, and Theo have stopped. The 2 people following them are closer. One holds a kitchen knife from somewhere in the market. Not raised yet. Present. We leave the office through the maintenance door and enter a concrete service hall behind the market kitchens. The hall smells of stale fryer oil, floor cleaner, and warm trash. Sounds from the food court echo through roll-up doors. Chairs dragging, people shouting, someone crying for a child named Parker. We move toward Ruth's camera position. Gordon knows service spaces from years of cutting through garages. I know kitchens. Between us, we pick the route with fewer public doors. We pass a bakery prep room with flour across the floor and trays still waiting for morning. A radio near the sink plays a calm recorded message about sheltering indoors, then cuts to dead air. Ruth sees us first. She has Theo seated in a doorway marked electrical room. Brielle stands between Theo and the 2 followers, with the small extinguisher held low. The man with the kitchen knife is thin, mid-30s. wearing a loosened tie and one expensive shoe. The woman with him has a canvas tote full of canned drinks from the food court. The man says nobody needs trouble. He says they need water and a way out. Ruth says there is water in the garage office. He says he saw us carrying cases. His eyes move to the bottles in Gordon's arms. Outside the corridor, the food truck generator rattles faintly through concrete. It still pulls attention away, but not all of it. I hand one bottle to the woman with the tote. Not the man. That choice changes the air. She takes it and twists the cap before he can tell her not to. He glares at her, then at me. I say the Carter Street service door is ahead, and if he wants out, he can walk. I do not say we are together. I do not say we are sharing. Ruth understands and shifts her grip on Theo. Brielle steps aside enough to show the hall. The man with the knife hesitates because the offer is not what he planned. He wanted us afraid and stationary. Moving makes his knife less useful. A crash from the food court decides it. The woman with the tote leaves first. He follows her, angry but following. We wait until their footsteps turn the corner, then move the opposite way. Ruth says the Carter Street door may draw a crowd once it opens. Gordon says there is a trash compactor room with an exterior chute yard on the alley side. It may have a ladder to the loading dock roof. Theo says he cannot climb a ladder. No one argues with him. His voice is weaker. Ruth says we need pressure and a cleaner wrap soon. Brielle asks if one of the restaurants has a medical kit. I tell her every kitchen has a kit if the manager cared, or if the inspector cared. The question is whether we can reach it without crossing the food court. We enter a closed noodle shop through the back prep door. The shop is dark except for emergency lights. Pots sit in sinks. A stock burner is still on low under a covered pot, which means someone left fast. I shut it off. That action is automatic and practical. Fire will not help anyone here. Ruth finds the first aid kit mounted near the dish pit. It has gloves, gauze, tape, a cold pack, burn cream and scissors. No miracle. Better than aprons. We lay Theo on 2 rubber floor mats. Ruth cuts away his pant leg. The wound is long, ugly and still bleeding at one edge. Glass, not teeth. I see no bite. I still check twice because the new rules demand it. Brielle washes her hands for 20 seconds because Ruth tells her to. The water still runs. The soap dispenser still has soap. That normal detail feels more valuable than the money in my lockbox. Ruth rewraps the leg with gauze and pressure, then uses tape and strips from a clean kitchen towel. Theo groans and grips the edge of the mat. Gordon stands at the back door watching the hall. I check the front of the noodle shop through a narrow crack. The food court has maybe 30 people in it, scattered among overturned chairs and abandoned trays. Some are hiding behind counters. Some are trying to open locked mall gates. A sick man in a janitor shirt walks into a table, corrects toward a crying noise, and keeps going. The food truck's horn starts outside. Not one tap, a long steady blast. Someone has found the wheel or fallen against it. The sound rolls through the market and garage. Every sick person in the food court turns toward the service corridor. So do many frightened people. The decoy is now too good. It pulls danger toward the route we used and toward the garage office with the water. Ruth hears it and says we move now. Theo says he can stand. He cannot. Gordon and I make a seat with our arms for 10 feet, then abandon that because it slows us too much and exposes everyone. We give Theo a broom handle with the brush head snapped off. He uses it for a cane, and Ruth holds his belt from behind. We take the compactor route. The room is behind 2 swinging doors and down a short ramp slick with old grease. The compactor itself is off, a huge green machine with warning labels and a locked control box. The exterior chute door opens to a fenced trash yard between the market and a narrow alley. The fence is chain link with privacy slats, 8 feet high, topped with no wire. The gate has a padlock on the inside. Gordon has no key for it. I still have bolt cutters in the truck, not here. That lost tool becomes another consequence. Gordon uses the pry bar on the latch plate. The metal bends slowly, too slowly. Behind us, the compactor room doors swing open. The woman with the tote comes through first, alone now, eyes wide, one hand clamped over her mouth to stay quiet. The man with the kitchen knife is not with her. She points behind her and shakes her head. Ruth motions her in, because leaving her in the doorway blocks us, and because Ruth cannot stop being Ruth. The woman whispers that the Carter Street door opened into a crowd. The man with the knife tried to push through. She does not finish. She does not need to. Brielle gives her the small extinguisher and takes a metal pot lid from a shelf. The horn keeps going outside, then stops, then starts again in short bursts. Gordon finally bends the latch enough to slip the padlock loop free. The gate opens 6 inches before the bottom catches on packed trash and broken glass. I get both hands under the frame and lift while he pulls. We make a gap wide enough for a person sideways. The alley beyond is narrow and shaded by the market wall. Dumpsters line one side. A delivery door stands open across the way. I see no sick people in the first stretch. I see movement at the far end near Carter Street. Not clear enough to name. We push Theo through first, then Ruth, Brielle, the woman with the tote, Gordon and me last. I pull the gate back toward closed but cannot latch it. That will matter soon. Everything left unsecured matters. The alley runs behind restaurants and small offices, then bends toward the river service road. It is too narrow for most cars, but my food truck could have made it before I left it screaming in the garage. That thought is useless and still sharp. We move beside dumpsters, stepping around broken crates, old produce, and a spilled bag of coffee grounds. The city noise is muffled here. No sirens close, no traffic movement, only the horn bursts from the garage, the generator rattle and distant shouting. Theo plants the broom handle, drags his injured leg forward, and plants again. He is slowing. Ruth sees it, Gordon sees it. Nobody says it because the alley has no room for that conversation. Halfway down, the woman with the tote says her name is Celia and asks where we are going. No one has a real answer. Away from the horn, away from crowds. Toward the river road if it is not blocked. Maybe toward the old rail underpass. Maybe toward the industrial blocks where buildings have fewer glass lobbies and fewer lunch crowds. I say we need water. A place to sit and a way to clean Theo's wound again. Ruth says we need to stop the bleeding first. Gordon says we need height before dark. Brielle says phones might work better away from towers overloaded with people. Each answer is true and incomplete. At the bend in the alley, a delivery door opens and a man in a butcher apron steps out with a baseball bat. He raises it then lowers it when he sees Theo. He says the restaurant is closed. Ruth says we do not want the restaurant. He says everybody wants something. Behind him a woman calls his name, Curtis, and tells him to shut the door. He asks if anybody has been bitten. Ruth says no. Curtis does not trust it. I cannot blame him. He tosses one roll of paper towels and a sealed jug of cooking water into the alley, then backs inside. The door closes. Locks turn. That is generosity now. A jug, paper towels, and a closed door before trouble follows. We take the jug. Ruth thanks the door even though Curtis cannot hear her. The alley end opens near a small employee parking lot behind a print shop. The lot has 6 cars, 1 delivery pickup, and a chain across the driveway. Beyond it, Carter Street is jammed but not fully stopped. Cars creep by inches. People walk between them carrying bags, children, pets, office shoes, laptops, anything close at hand when the day broke. A police officer stands in the intersection, trying to direct traffic with one arm while using the other to hold a bleeding cloth against his neck. He is still on his feet. He is still working. Drivers ignore him whenever fear becomes louder than instruction. The food truck horn stops completely. For 3 seconds, the block loses that anchor. Then a heavy crash echoes from the garage direction. The generator sound cuts out. Smoke rises above the garage ramp, thin at first, then thicker. Not a fireball, not a movie blast. More likely the truck hit something, or someone pulled the wrong line, or the hot engine met spilled fuel or grease. The smoke is enough. People on Carter Street turn toward it. The police officer turns too. 6 figures at the far sidewalk change direction toward the new noise. My truck has bought us minutes and maybe blocked the ramp. It may also burn. It may also trap someone. Both can be true, and neither helps me move Theo. Gordon spots the delivery pickup in the lot and tries the driver door. Locked. He checks the visor through the window, then the front tire, then the small magnetic box under the rear bumper. No key. He says small businesses always hide keys until the one day someone needs one. I tell him I used to keep a spare under the propane cabinet until a teenager stole my last truck battery. Ruth looks at the pickup bed. It has a tarp, rope, and 2 plastic bread trays. She points to the trays. We turn one into a rough sled for Theo's supplies, not Theo. Dragging him on plastic over broken pavement would reopen the wound and hurt him worse. But we can offload weight from everyone carrying water. Celia wants to go to the convention center because a message on her phone says emergency shelter. The message is 2 hours old. The convention center is 6 blocks through the worst of downtown. Ruth says no. Celia says Ruth does not get to decide. Ruth says Celia can leave. That ends the argument because freedom is less comforting when it is real. Brielle checks her phone and says the message has been deleted from one city page but not another. She says replies under it are full of people saying doors are closed. Then her phone loses signal again. The official world is not gone. It is contradicting itself in public. We cut through the print shop lot and into a service passage between 2 brick buildings. The passage leads to a rear courtyard with a metal stair up to a 2nd floor storage space. Gordon tests the stair with 1 foot. It holds. The door at the top is locked with a simple knob and a deadbolt. The windows are high, dusty, and unbroken. The ground level doors are metal. It is not a home, it is not comfortable. It is a place off the street with one stair, one door, and a view over the lot. That is enough for the next decision. Gordon works the deadbolt with his pry bar and damages the frame before it gives. The noise is ugly. We wait after each crack. Nothing close answers. Inside is a print shop storage room full of paper boxes, toner cartridges, old signs, folding tables, and a broken copier. It smells dry and chemical. No food, no bathroom. One small sink in the corner with cold water that runs brown for 5 seconds, then clear. 2 narrow windows look over the alley and lot. A second door leads to an office with a desk and dead computer. The power is on, but the internet is out. The room is warm because the air conditioning is off. It is still better than the truck, better than the garage, better than any glass lobby. We bring Theo in and set him on flattened cardboard with his leg raised on paper boxes. Ruth cleans the wound again with clean water and uses the last good gauze. Brielle writes down every supply on the back of a print order form because memory gets unreliable under pressure. Bottled water, 14 full bottles, 1 open. Jug from Curtis, 1 gallon. Food, protein bars, apples, tortillas, peanut butter packets. 2 cans of chili we cannot heat without risk, granola bars, and whatever Celia has in her tote. First aid, tape, scissors, gloves, paper towels, soap, 1 cold pack. No antibiotics, no proper splint. No pain medicine except 3 loose tablets from Gordon's pocket that he says are ordinary over-the-counter tablets. Phones, 4 with low battery, 2 battery packs, no stable service. Tools, pry bar, scraper, box cutter, pot lid, small extinguisher, 1 flashlight. People, 6 injury, 1 serious leg cut. That list makes the room quieter. The old idea of the food truck had included full shelves, water cases, propane generator, refrigerator, serving window, and an engine. The current idea has cardboard, warm water, and a broken office door. I sit on a box of envelopes and look at the cash drawer I carried from the truck. It is heavy with bills and coins that cannot bandage Theo, cannot unlock traffic, cannot fill a tank, cannot make the city answer its phones. I take the cash out anyway and split it into envelopes because old systems may come back in pieces, and because throwing away useful paper before it proves useless is pride. Gordon watches me and says nothing. Below us, Carter Street keeps moving in broken bursts. The police officer is gone from the intersection. His patrol car remains with the door open and lights flashing. A group of people tries to push a stalled sedan out of the lane. Another group yells at them to leave it. Farther down, 3 sick figures follow the sound of a dog barking inside an apartment window. The dog stops barking after a woman opens that window and pulls it inside. Smart, late but smart. Smoke from the garage drifts over the rooftops, then thins. My truck may have burned out or stalled or been stripped. I cannot see it from here. I do not need to. Its job is finished. Theo asks if we can get to a hospital before dark. Ruth answers without lying. Not downtown. He nods once and closes his eyes. Brielle sits beside the door with the extinguisher across her knees. Celia opens her tote and takes out canned drinks, crackers, and a small bag of oranges. She puts them in the middle of the floor without being asked. That is her apology for wanting to leave, or payment for staying, or plain sense. Nobody names it. Gordon checks the stair every few minutes. I wash grease from my hands in the sink and cannot get the old food smell out. It clings under my nails and in the lines of my palms. The office computer has no useful connection, but the desk has a battery radio in the bottom drawer. It uses 2 batteries that still work. The first station is music with no announcer. The second is static. The third carries a local emergency message recorded by a human voice that has started to crack from repetition. Shelter indoors. Avoid contact with symptomatic individuals. Do not approach medical facilities unless directed. Conserve phone batteries. Boil water if service pressure drops. Report bites or unexplained fever to emergency services when lines reopen. Lines reopen. That phrase makes Ruth close her eyes. It is not a promise. It is a hope shaped into an instruction. We do not sleep, not properly. Ruth sits near Theo and checks the bandage every few minutes until Gordon tells her she will miss something if she keeps staring at one problem. Brielle takes the first window watch because she says she can read movement in the reflection without standing directly in front of the glass. She is right. She catches 2 men entering the lot before anyone hears them. They test car doors, then look up at our broken stair door. Gordon kills the room light before they see us. The men argue below about whether to climb. One says there is smoke in the garage and food in the truck if it has not burned. The other says the truck is surrounded. They leave toward the smoke. Night settles without ceremony. The power stays on in some buildings and dies in others. Office towers keep glowing floor by floor until sections blink out. Traffic lights continue cycling over streets where nobody follows them. Sirens fade, return, fade again. A distant public address system repeats a message too warped to understand. The city is not dead. It is damaged, confused, and full of people making bad decisions with partial information. That is worse for us because a dead city would at least be quiet. This one keeps producing noise, movement, fire, rumors, and fresh crowds. Around midnight, Theo's fever starts. Ruth says fever can come from injury, shock, dirty glass, or infection from the wound. She says the forbidden word only with her eyes. Bite. We check him again under the flashlight. No bite marks, no hidden wound beyond scrapes from the fall. He knows what we are doing and lets us do it because he is afraid of the same thing. We give him water in small amounts and one of Gordon's tablets. Ruth changes the outer wrap. The bleeding has slowed. The heat in his skin has not. Without proper medical care, even glass can become dangerous. The outbreak does not need to touch everyone directly. It only needs to break the systems that handle ordinary injuries. At one point, Brielle asks what happens if Theo worsens. Ruth says we handle what is in front of us. Gordon says we do not make rules until rules are needed. Celia says that is how people get hurt. Nobody has a clean answer. I look at the scraper beside my boot and wish I had left more tools in the truck. Then remember the truck is gone from my control because I chose to make it useful one last time. That choice still feels right and still costs too much. Both facts stay in the room. Near dawn, my pending message to my sister finally sends. A reply arrives 6 minutes later. She is alive. Her building is locked down north of the river. She tells me not to come because streets around her are blocked and the lobby had a fever case. She says stay high, stay quiet, save water. That is all. I read it 3 times and do not answer right away because every answer uses battery and because no sentence can fix distance. I tell the group north of the river is not a route yet. Ruth says we wait until light, then scout 1 block at a time toward the industrial edge, not the shelters. Gordon agrees. Brielle says the river bridges may close. Celia says the convention center may still take people. The disagreement stays open because the world outside has not given us enough facts. When the sun comes up, the storage room looks smaller and more honest. Cardboard beds, water bottles lined along the wall, Theo's stained bandage, Celia's tote emptied into our supply pile, Gordon asleep sitting upright beside the door for 15 minutes before his head jerks up, Ruth writing notes on Theo's temperature and water intake because records matter when memory breaks. Brielle at the window, wearing the flat shoes she found, watching the lot with the patience of someone who has aged too much in one day. Me at the sink, filling every bottle again while water still runs clear. From the window I can see a slice of the garage ramp. Black marks stain the entrance. The food truck is not visible. A small crowd moves near the ramp, drawn by whatever remains there. I do not know if the engine died, if the generator failed, if the propane stayed sealed, or if someone forced the shutter and found the food. I only know the truck is no longer mine in any useful sense. It fed people until feeding people became dangerous. It sheltered us until sheltering us became impossible. Then it made enough noise to pull danger away from one hallway. That is not a clean ending for a business or a life. It is what happened. We do not leave at sunrise. Theo cannot manage the stairs yet, and the street below is too active. That is the first hard decision of the new day. We stay until the block settles, or until staying becomes worse. Ruth hates waiting but accepts it. Gordon reinforces the broken door with a folding table and stacks of paper boxes. Not because it will stop a crowd, but because it will slow one and make noise. Brielle marks the cleanest route on the back of a menu board she found in the office. Celia watches the alley and tells us when people pass. I ration breakfast. Half an apple each. 1 protein bar split 6 ways. Water measured by bottle caps and common sense. Nobody complains because the math is clear. By mid-morning, the radio says emergency services are prioritizing fires, hospitals and major shelters. It does not say help is coming to side streets, storage rooms, food trucks, parking garages or people with cut legs. It does not say the city is lost. It does not say the city is safe. It tells people to avoid unnecessary movement while every trapped person decides whether movement is necessary. We are part of that confusion now. Not special, not chosen, not prepared enough. 6 people in a print shop storage room with a pry bar, a dying battery pack, and water that may stop before evening. I write the truck's mileage on the back of an envelope because insurance may matter someday or because I need one fact from yesterday to remain orderly. Then I cross it out and use the envelope to list what we need next. Clean cloth, more water, antibiotics if any pharmacy can be reached, a quieter route, better shoes for Theo, a container for waste, a place to rest that is not above a street full of glass. The list is ugly and plain, that helps. Survival is not a grand plan from here. It is one ugly plain need after another. A noise comes from the stair at the bottom of the storage room door. One step, then another. Gordon raises the pry bar. Ruth lifts the scraper because I gave it to her while I filled bottles. Brielle moves the extinguisher pin halfway loose but does not pull it. Celia crouches beside Theo and puts one hand over his mouth before he can ask who is there. I stand behind the table barricade and look through the crack where the frame split. A woman in a mail carrier uniform climbs into view, one hand on the rail, the other holding a canvas mailbag. She is alive, alert, and alone. She sees the damaged door, sees my eye at the crack, and stops 3 steps down. She says her name is Nadine, and she has a route key for 3 buildings on the block. She says the post office loading annex has water, a restroom, and a back room with no windows. She also says 2 sick people are inside the customer area, and she cannot clear it alone. Ruth asks if she has been bitten. Nadine says no and rolls up both sleeves without being told. Gordon asks why she would bring us this instead of keeping it. Nadine says she heard us moving last night and saw us help the man with the leg. She also says more people are coming from the garage and this room will be found before noon. That last part matters more than trust. We do not open the door fully. We pass questions through the crack. How far? 1 building over and across a delivery court. How many doors? 2. Any stairs? 1 short set down. Any working sink? Yes. Any other people? Maybe 1 clerk hiding in the sorting room, not confirmed. Any infected outside? 2 in the customer area, more on Carter Street. None in the delivery court when she came up. Her answers are specific. Specific does not mean safe, but it is better than rumor. Ruth looks at Theo. Theo looks at the floor. He knows he is the slowest part of every plan. He says he can go. His voice is thin. We pretend that is enough. The final choice is not dramatic. We can stay in a room that will be found, or move through a route we do not control. We can trust Nadine a little, or trust the broken door and empty bottles more. We take the route. Gordon opens the barricade 1 piece at a time. Brielle shoulders the water bag. Celia carries the food. Ruth and I take Theo between us. Nadine waits on the stair with her mailbag and a short metal sorting hook in her hand. Before we leave, I look once more toward the garage smoke. Somewhere beyond the buildings, my old food truck sits dead or stolen or stripped, still smelling of grease, onions, and a life that ended in public while everybody kept ordering lunch. We step out of the storage room into the stairwell. The morning air carries smoke from downtown and the damp smell of trash from the alley below. The city keeps making noise in pieces. A horn far away, a voice from an open window, a siren that starts and stops, a door alarm repeating in a shop nobody can reach. Nadine leads. Gordon follows. Ruth and I move Theo 1 step at a time. Brielle keeps watching behind us. Celia keeps the food bag tight against her chest. Nobody talks unless a word changes where a foot goes.